I feel like I'm one of the only people on the internet seeing this. And what I'm seeing is that much of this release the files talk that's been going on for 6+ months is actually a deep state PSYOP to help cover up the Epstein network even further. Paint Trump as a pedophile protector and obstruct ongoing investigations. Now you might be saying, Jordan, what the hell? Why would they do that? You're a crazy pile of shit. Yes, I'm a crazy pile of shit, but as I go through the money trail, the names, the NGOs involved with this, and how they are doing it, hopefully you will see what I see here. Now, a few things before we begin. Number one, what a great topic to run political ops with, because you can't argue it. You can't argue getting justice about child trafficking networks, elite pedo rings. And it's a bipartisan issue, right? So cover up the political op in a bipartisan, you can't argue it issue, and in fact, that becomes the perfect issue to run dark agendas under. It's kind of like some of these influencers online who constantly scream about the Jews. In fact, I think some of them might be funded by Mossad, right? Gives great cover for them. I'm not Mossad. Look how much I expose Israel. Second, I am not saying in this video we should not get justice on the Epstein network or with these elite pedo rings. I am not saying let's not hear the Epstein survivors out. Obviously, I want justice on this issue. I've been talking about Pizzagate, Pedogate, and elite child trafficking rings online for 9 years. And we absolutely should hear these survivors out. But I think in their vulnerable state, these survivors are being used unwittingly as political pawns by groups and people with dark agendas. And last thing here, we wouldn't be talking about Epstein right now. A lot of people wouldn't be knowing who he is. We wouldn't be reading the Epstein files on a .gov website if Trump was never elected in 2016. If Trump didn't have Epstein investigated and arrested, Ghislaine investigated and arrested, Jean-Luc Brunel, the procurer for Epstein and Ghislaine, investigated and arrested, NXIVM, links to the Rothschilds and Epstein network, NXIVM sex cult, remember? So I don't think all of this would have happened over the last 8-9 years if there weren't ongoing investigations or we were going to get rugged, okay? It's kind of curious to me. I don't know why a lot of these online influencers don't wonder if there are ongoing investigations. They're assuming like it's fact that there aren't. Ongoing investigations actually answers a lot of questions. Why are there so many redactions in these files? Why are, Kash Patel, why is the FBI and DOJ playing stupid? Acting like nothing's going on. Why is Trump telling people, oh, nothing to see here, let's move on? Well, if there were ongoing investigations, yeah, makes sense. They'd be doing and saying those things. Also, if you look at the timing, how long has Trump been officially in office since Epstein's arrested? Little over 2 years, really. Almost 2.5, but in the grand scheme of things, that is not long. For the depth and breadth of an investigation like this, 2 years plus 1 year of that being COVID. So during COVID, that greatly hindered ongoing investigations. I mean, you compare that to like a run-of-the-mill cop going after a street-level drug dealer. That could take a year plus to do the surveillance, to do the investigation, just to get a freaking street-level drug dealer. So if we're talking about an investigation into a pedo ring of this grandeur, also if there are national security implications as well, some of these investigations might be being ran out of military intelligence outfits, which we wouldn't hear jack shit about. So anyway, that's a tangent. Point being, yes, call me crazy if you want. I do think there are ongoing investigations into the Epstein network, and we will get justice. we will get justice about it. But I think a lot of this release the files talk over the last 6 months, 9 months, is an op to obstruct the investigations, paint Trump as the bad guy, and help cover up Epstein and other child trafficking networks. Let me explain. So we're going to start with a Super Bowl ad that's running tonight. In fact, one more thing. I wrote a Substack article on this, on the release the files, what I see as a PSYOP. I wrote a Substack article on it back in September, but that was before I got this YouTube channel back. So the inspiration for this video, I realized, oh, I haven't done a video on this YouTube channel I got back. So anyway, I'll link that Substack article down below on a lot of this release the files crap being a PSYOP with Democrat dark money NGOs behind it. So getting into this whiteboard video here, sorry for all that intro, but necessary. We're gonna start with a Super Bowl ad running tonight in about 2 hours here. I saw that today, February 8th, 2026, I saw that there's a Super Bowl ad running with the Epstein survivors in it. And the narrative of this ad is that, oh, we've gotten 3 million Epstein files, but there's more. Gotta release them all. Can't let the government cover up the Epstein network perpetrators, etc. If you look at who produced this ad, first of all, who paid for that ad? Super Bowl ads ain't cheap. That probably cost $10 million. Who paid for that? Damn good question. I'm not seeing a lot of people ask. Might have been Reid Hoffman. There's good evidence to suggest Reid frickin' Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn, who from what I understand went to Epstein's island. There's good evidence to suggest he's the one that paid for it because he paid for a similar ad with the Epstein survivors in it to run during Monday Night Football back in November. So ask yourself, why would somebody who might have been friends with Epstein, who might have and probably did go to Epstein's island, why is he paying for an ad to run during the Super Bowl to call for more Epstein files to get released? Odd, right? So he might have paid for it. And then if you look at who produced this Super Bowl ad, at the very end, you could see a little production credit produced by World Without Exploitation is the name of the NGO that produced this Super Bowl ad. Also produced that ad Reid Hoffman paid for that ran during Monday Night Football a couple months ago. World Without Exploitation also helped set up that Epstein survivor press conference that took place on the steps of Congress back in September. You know, the one that Thomas Massie was at, and Thomas Massie is working with Democrat Senator Ro Khanna on this Epstein Files Transparency Act. They did that whole Epstein survivor press conference in September. You had all the survivors there telling their stories. Also, back at that press conference, they said they were going to put out their own Epstein client list. The Epstein survivors did. In front of the microphones and cameras. They said, we're going to put our own list together and put it out. They haven't done that yet. Also, wouldn't that be a better use of the Super Bowl ad? Why not just pay for the ad to out the names? I don't know why they're not doing that. Anyway, World Without Exploitation was involved in that Epstein survivor press conference back in September. They also helped produce these advertisements that are running during these football games. If you look at the money behind World Without Exploitation, this NGO, World Without Exploitation is a project of a Democrat dark money organization called the Tides Foundation. Sometimes they're called the Tides Center. But Tides Foundation. The Tides Foundation, a couple of years back, got $25 million from who else? George Soros, the Open Society Foundation. Tides Foundation also gets money from other Democrat-aligned foundations, such as the Rockefellers, and I believe the Ford Foundation also gives a bunch of money to Tides. Tides runs World Without Exploitation. Also, I wrote about this in that Substack article down below. If you look at some of the other organizations involved in that September press conference, you have one, I believe, called American Opposition. I'm trying to remember back to the article I wrote 5 months ago on this. American Opposition Flare.usa. That's the one I'm trying to think of. So Flare.usa, Flare.usa. That's another NGO that was involved in this Epstein survivor press conference in September. Flare.usa and American Opposition are both ran by outright, like, communists, basically. Socialist communists who are straight Democrat, who are straight anti-Trump goons. And if you also look at the paid protesters, look like they were paid protesters that were there at that September press conference. They were holding up a bunch of just all Trump signs. It's like you had to rent a crowd there to be in the back holding up Orange Man Bad, Trump's a pedo protector signs. This whole freaking press conference was just a political stunt. And it's sick that they're using the topic of Epstein and these survivors to run it. And I don't think these survivors realize that. I think in their vulnerable state, they're so desperate to get their stories out there, which they should, but they are, running with the first handout they get. Oh, you can help me get my story out there? Great, lovely. And then maybe they're getting some money too as assistance. Oh, you've been through so much. Here's a check for $50,000 or something like that. And they don't realize they're being used as political pawns. Maybe they don't want to realize they're being used as political pawns because the money they're getting is good or something like that. So anyway, let's now touch on Massey and Ro Khanna. Massey's odd. If the release the files shit is a deep state PSYOP to paint Trump as a pedo protector and obstruct ongoing investigations, that might explain why Trump is really going hard on Massey. Which, don't get me wrong, there's a lot I like about Massey. His libertarian angle. I dig that Massey's got his off-grid farm. It's in Kentucky, right? Doing the raw milk and all that shit. There's a lot I like about Massey. But I find it weird that Massey, the first place he runs to harp about releasing the Epstein files is CNN. Marjorie Taylor Greene as well. Right after this September press conference, it was like CNN was the first outfit she ran to complain about, oh, Trump's not releasing the Epstein files, it's a big cover-up. Today, Massey ran straight to CNN to complain about Trump not releasing the Epstein files, it's a big cover-up, he must be a pedo protector. Massey, in his CNN interview, was saying, oh, it's a non-political issue. We're not exposing Republicans, Democrats, non-political. I don't know about Massey, man. That sounds like BS to me. There's a lot I like about him, but the involvement here, how this is being ran, is sketchy. Also, the fact that Massey is working with Democrat Senator Ro Khanna on this. Again, they're trying to make it look like it's non-political, when deep down, I think it very much is. Similar to these UFO disclosure movements. They're saying, oh, this is a bipartisan issue. UAP, UFO disclosure, it's non-political. Bullshit. I think deep down, it most definitely is a political issue. Democrat Senator Ro Khanna. Wow, amazing. Ro Khanna has gotten money from Soros before. You can look up that Alexander Soros donated, I think, like the full amount he could multiple times to Ro Khanna's campaigns. Amazing. And you see Ro Khanna doing a bunch of shows with Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan's another one of those where it's like, there's a lot I like about him. Some of his podcasts are good listens, but are you just being a useful idiot here? Do you not see how all this shit is actually political? And Ro Khanna has been on Sean Ryan's show like 2 or 3 times in recent months to talk about this exact thing. So, and Sean Ryan today, I saw him post, yeah, we got to expose. I'm exposing the elite human trafficking rings with Ro Khanna. I'm like, bro, do you not see Ro Khanna getting money from literally some of the organizations that are probably allegedly involved in these elite pedo rings? Right? Amazing. So, oh yeah, let's make it look non-political, but freaking Ro Khanna is involved, so that's sketch. And again, at the end of the day, I think the goal here, you're questioning me, what's their goal? Why would they be releasing the files? Somebody commented on one of my posts today, but why would Soros be involved with this? Because releasing the files is exposing the Democrats. Because it's basically a death spiral. Like they don't have a problem throwing a few of their own to the wolves right now because they're so desperate to avert justice, to avert exposure. So they'll throw a few liabilities to the wolves. Like, okay, Bill Clinton, you're about dead. We'll throw him to the wolves. Bill Gates, we'll throw him to the wolves. They don't care. They're doing their damnedest. It's like a death spiral, right? Death blossom, if you understand that reference. So they're throwing a few to the wolves out of desperation to try their hardest not to get exposed. I mean, they're doing their darndest to paint Trump as the pedo protector and obstruct ongoing investigations, which I do think are ongoing, hence redactions, hence Trump admin being very mum about this, hence other things as well. So I think that's all I wanted to cover in regards to the release the files push, propaganda push over the last 6 months, what I think being a big PSYOP to actually assist in covering up Epstein network exposure, obstructing ongoing investigations. And this is not me saying everybody, say, involved in this knows or sees how this could be a PSYOP. I think a lot of these influencers online, yeah, they are right to be pissed off. I'm pissed off too. They're right to be pissed off about the Epstein network. They are right to call for justice, okay? But at its core, I do think this is a PSYOP with the ultimate goal of Orange Man Bad, trying to get people to hate Trump, see him as being a pedo protector, and do their best to stifle more exposure. And they're fine putting a bit out there, throwing some folks to the wolves. If you understand the idea of a limited hangout, look up the definition of a limited hangout. It's basically an intelligence community play, an intelligence community figure of speech whereby when people start questioning something, put a little bit of info out there to placate them, to get them to stop asking questions so you can keep the deeper, darker secrets secret. So you can brush the rest under the rug. That could be the goal of this release the file PSYOP. Do somewhat of a limited hangout. They know, they'll put a little bit out there to placate the public. And it's like the deep state knows there's ongoing investigations. They know Trump won't say anything about them. So what a better op to run? Try to force Trump to release what's there. They know Trump can't say anything about it, so they're going to know that he's going to look like a pedo protector when he's really not. And it's PSYOPs upon PSYOPs here. I know it might be tough to understand, but this makes sense in my retarded head. You let me know in the comments if this makes sense to you. Okay? Hope I explained myself at least decently here. Again, Substack article would be linked down below where you can see more about the weirdness that was going on during the September press conference. Also, one more thing, Gloria Allred was there. World Without Exploitation had Gloria Allred on stage at the September press conference. And wasn't she involved with literally paying people to fabricate claims against Trump? Fabricate sexual assault claims? Something like that. I wrote about it in the Substack down below. Anyway, just this whole thing's sketchy, man. Yes, we need justice. Yes, the survivors deserve the justice. We all do. We need to get rid of this shit. But I see a lot of this release the files push as being a big old PSYOP that a lot of people are falling for with the ultimate goal of Orange Man Bad and thus obstruct ongoing investigations. So we'll see if I'm right in due time.